Welcome to this tutorial on Ionic. In this tutorial, we'll be covering the setup for the framework Ionic. Just a quick hint, Ionic uses Cordova, so similar to PhoneGap, but for the purpose of this course, you'll be required to use Ionic and not something similar. For those that don't know, Ionic is basically a framework that will be using web languages. So you'll be working with HTML, CSS for text and styling, and JavaScript for animation functionality, and basically Node.js for back-end, front-end communication. The setup is pretty straightforward. You'll install Node.js. You're going to be using the version 6.9.4, and after we installed it, we're going to run the commands to install Cordova and Ionic. So let's get started. Let me just pull up the page. So if you just go on Node.js's website, you'll be installing this one. So after you download it, I already have it. The installation is pretty straightforward. Just you go through it next till the end. So after you've set it up, let me just pull this down. It looks something like this one. So it doesn't matter in what directory you are for this. You're going to be doing npm, which is a package manager for JavaScript. We're going to do npm, just for people to see. It'll be easier if I pull this up. Let me do this. Boom. All right. So npm install, then you're going to do Cordova, then G for global. So this usually takes about 3 to 4 minutes. So I'm going to pause the video for the time this is going to run out, and then I'll show you the next command. So Cordova just finished installing. And now the same way we're going to do npm install, and we're going to do Ionic. There's another way to do this. You could do both of them in one shot. So you could have written Cordova, Ionic in one shot, but in case there was errors, this is easier to see what happened and sometimes the referencing. So this usually takes between 5, 10, 15 minutes. It all depends on your internet connection for everything to be set up. So again, for the purpose of this, I'm going to pause the video so we just don't waste your time watching this installing. So Ionic just finished installing. It would look something about like this. Don't worry about the warnings. They're just about deprecated versions or things like, for example, replacing bundles. Now, what's important is to know how to run these commands. Just a brief information. If ever you are having problems, everything is very clearly explained on their website. So I'll pull it up in a couple seconds. So here, if you just go to get started, you'll see that everything I just showed you is that first command, and then how we're going to create our first app we're going to do right now. So let me just lower this and pull up the terminal again. So here, I'm right now in this directory. If I want to place my folder in somewhere else, you can, but for the purpose of this tutorial, I'm just going to leave it there. And you're going to do Ionic start. This would be easier if I pull out on the slides this little neat slide. So you're looking for Ionic start, naming your app, and the template you'll be using. If you leave it blank, it would be default. So when I'm referring to templates, when I talk about this, is right here down, you'll see that you have blank would be just a blank app. Tabs would already give you a default of 3 tabs, so some sample code, or also a side menu. There's also other ones you could find online as templates. So let's get back here and let's do, for the purpose of this one, let's call the app Hello World. And let's use the tabs. So we'll hit this, and basically it's going to go look for all the files to creating that project and using the template tabs. So I'll just wait a couple of minutes for everything to be set up and downloaded. Perfect. After everything was set up, you'll see that if I want to run this app that I just created, I'll need to get into this directory I just created. So if I do cd, and we just called it hello world. There we go. Sorry about that. Now all I need to do is iOnic serve, and it will run the app and open it in my browser. So let me just pull out the browser so when it opens. And just to show you that on their website, you had the how to start the app and how to run your first app. And it would look something like this. Just to be able to have a more of an idea of the app, how it would look like, I'll just go and inspect element, and just to show you guys. And if I click here on the mobile icon, my browser will act like a mobile. So I'm able to do this, and if I change here, we're able to scroll the same way and enter. And all this was given to us as a default template, so I get to see all this code, and it already gives you a leg up. Let's go back to this quick. So as this is running, you're able to work on your app, and then when you're done, you need to kill this. So it's as simple as saying Q, and boom, you just killed your app. Last but not least is your test frameworks. So for Ionic, you'll be using the testing frameworks Jasmine and Karma, and we'll be looking more into depth into these. But as you're setting up Node.js and Ionic and everything else, might as well do this setup for these two, so that that phase is done and you can start working with your team. And voila. See you next time.